Yes, Paul George joined Kobe Bryant as the cover athletes for NBA 2K17, but I have some theories on what could be in store for us for NBA 2K17, as well as a breakdown of Team 2K. Let's get it. Tons of news out there about NBA 2K17 as well as some other sports video games, and I'll be hitting you guys with some reaction pieces on some other stuff probably later on today and spilling into tomorrow, which will be Tuesday, when we'll also see the return of Ask FP. I apologize for not having one last week. I was actually at the NBA 2K17 esports event, Road to the Finals, which was pretty cool. And that was where the official announcement that Paul George was going to be the cover athlete, that's where that official announcement was made. Even though we found out a day before because the news leaked via the PlayStation store. So let's talk about Paul George as the cover athlete first and foremost. I've heard some people say it's a horrible, literally, I had somebody tweet at me that it was a horrible decision. I just kind of find that hard to grasp, how you could say it was a horrible decision. I mean, let's face it. There's a handful of superstars in the NBA that if any of those guys were picked as the cover athletes, you really couldn't say they don't deserve it. Paul George is in that number. He's one of the best all-around players in the NBA, so I can't act as if he doesn't deserve it. It was actually interesting, though. I got an opportunity to talk to Paul George at the event, and I asked him how long did he know that he was the cover athlete, and the amount of time actually shocked me. He said he's known for a year. So this decision was made pretty much around the time he came back from the injury, the horrific broken leg. Shortly after that, and I think 2K pretty much made up in their mind, his story was inspirational, and for him to get back on the floor, I guess it's probably as long as he didn't get hurt this season and he made it through, unscathed or whatever, and Pacers had a fairly, successful season, which they did by making the playoffs, that he would be considered. He would still or remain the cover athlete, and that's what happened. So I just thought that was pretty interesting that he knew for a year. I don't have any problem at all with him being the cover athlete, none whatsoever. I think that, like I said, he's one of the best players in the NBA. No problem at all with that. So here's the thing. Take a look at this. Take a look at the cover. One of the things you see that they have Paul George there in his Olympic uniform. That's where you see that. To me, is a really big clue. And we've been able to use covers from the past as clues. So we saw last year, we saw Steph Curry, Anthony Davis, and James Harden appear on the cover in their collegiate uniforms. We pretty much knew that meant that there was going to be some sort of college basketball element in the game, and that proved to be the case. So this time, I think it's a fairly good indication that by this being 2016, the year of the Olympics, you're going to see some element of the Olympics in NBA 2K17. I'm thinking they're going to have the full out Olympic mode where you can play through, the Olympic bracket, and they're going to have all of the international teams. I figure they're going to have that probably in addition to the EuroLeague teams, the way they already have them. I also think that it's going to be a part of your MyCareer, which was something that was on my NBA 2K17 wish list, that achieving or making Team USA would be part of your MyCareer journey, or one of the things on your MyCareer to-do list, which I think is awesome. And I wouldn't actually be surprised if they had some sort of built-in injury thing as well for your MyCareer, where you're going to get hurt. You're going to have a season-ending injury that you have to deal with. i.e. or a la Paul George. Now, I don't know this for a fact, so this is just me speculating. I hope I'm wrong about that part, because I think that that's where we start to get into where you're guiding it a little bit too much. Now, if that happens, I would love to see some sort, like, I don't think it should automatically happen to everybody. I think the chances that it could happen should be there, and I think it would be really cool if they had cinema screens and a whole setup, a whole presentation set up for if that does happen. But I don't think you should pre-program everyone's MyCareer to make it where they're going to have to deal with an injury. Maybe they have a situation where that's where your career starts, as opposed to starting as a rookie or in high school or in college or what have you. You start right after a career-ending or a season-ending injury. Maybe they'll do that. Maybe that's where your journey begins. I'd probably be more a fan of that than forcing everybody to get injured. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. I could be wrong about that whole thing, but generally this is the way 2K has cultivated their overall package. It's kind of really a holistic type of a thing. The cover athlete matches the theme of the year. So I think that might happen. So now let's talk about this Team 2K. So obviously Paul George and Kobe are the only official cover guys, but 2K has tabbed some other guys, some young stars. Looks like young stars. I mean, some of them may not all be young, but so far it looks like some young stars have been tabbed to be a part of Team 2K as ambassadors for the team. These guys probably have a really good chance of being future cover athletes. So they started off with Paul George standing in front of a silhouette of I think it's six guys, and every weekday they're revealing another member of Team 2K. So the first guy to get revealed was Karl Anthony Towns, and if you read my Forbes article, which the link to my Forbes writing profile is in the description, and I'm going to have it in the description pretty much of every article moving forward, as well as the link to my Bleacher Report writer profile as well. But if you read my article when this first dropped, I kind of guessed that Karl Anthony Towns would be one of the guys. He plays a lot of 2K. He just won the NBA Rookie of the Year, and he's a part of one of the most exciting young nucleuses in the NBA in the Minnesota Timberwolves. So he's a perfect fit to me for Team 2K. The second guy it revealed was Detroit Pistons center Andre Drummond. Has a great opportunity to be one of the best. I mean, he's already one of the best centers in the NBA, I believe. He's got an opportunity to go even higher with that. He is another that plays a lot of NBA 2K. So if you're noticing a little bit of a theme there, and I think it's a really smart thing for 2K to do. 2K is hitting up guys, and they're aligning themselves with guys who play their game a lot. Paul George is a definite hardcore 2K player. I mean, you actually literally can see Paul. You can find Paul George online playing, and he plays just anybody. He'll just pick up the sticks and he'll just be playing. So you got guys like that. Drummond's always tweeting about. He's tweeted about playing the game before. Karl Anthony Towns has spoken out publicly about how much he plays the game. So I'm thinking that that's a lot of the guys, if not all of the guys on Team 2K, are going to be guys who actually play the game. Now, I don't know how much this gentleman plays the game, but I'm going to just start my guesses for the other members. Well, I actually guessed some of this. If you read the article in Forbes, you'll see. But like I said, I guessed Karl Anthony Towns. But the guy in between Karl Anthony Towns and Andre Drummond, I'm betting is Jimmy Butler. I can just tell by the shape of the head and the hairstyle that just looks like Jimmy Butler. That far left guy, from the shape of the head, kind of looks like Chris Paul. The one right next to him looks like Kevin Durant. And obviously we know Durant plays the game a lot. I don't know about Jimmy Butler and Chris Paul, but I know Durant plays. The other guy, I can't call it. So I'm be interested in hearing what you guys think in the comment sections about who do you think these other guys are on Team 2K. That would be really cool to see how many people can get close to guessing who they all are. But as you can see here on the screen, like I mentioned before, I did get an opportunity to talk to Paul George. Well, you saw on the image earlier. That was a really awesome experience at Road to the Finals. I mean, if you have never been to a live esports event, if you think it's something that you couldn't get into, I bet you're probably underselling the whole joint. We saw the Drew Kubakas take care of GFG, and it was a really cool experience. Drew Kubakas were a better team. We had a lot of people talking a lot of stuff about how it wasn't fair and controllers wasn't this and that. And true enough, the game was played on PlayStation, and the Xbox guys, the GFG guys, had to use modded controllers, a special controller that allowed them to use the Xbox One stuff on PlayStation. But if you saw that game and you saw the way they lost, it had nothing to do with that. You had even one guy say that they didn't have badges. That was not true. It was confirmed by several people at 2K. I mean, PlayStation guys could have said they didn't have badges too. So it's hard to really the way those guys lost had nothing to do with badges. It had nothing to do with controllers. They were making just really bad basketball decisions. There were a ton of cross-court passes, those passes that you throw in 2K that you just know are going to get picked off. There was not a lot of just overall passing, in terms of good solid teamwork. And the other thing was the Drew Kubakas, their bigs were just dominant, man. Those dudes were absolutely dominant. So they had the 2 7'3" guys, and they both play like bigs. So GFG got one shot every rip. They put the shot up. If it did not drop, they were not getting a second chance opportunity at all. And the Drew Kubakas had countless second chance points. And I thought ball control and dominating on the glass were the real reasons why they lost. And those things cannot be attributed to any of that other stuff that was complained about. But that said, there is no question that moving forward, 2K absolutely has to get cross-network play together so that people who lose can't have that as a legitimate excuse. I mean, because if you say this to somebody without that person having seen the game, it's easy to say, oh yeah, they might have a point there. They may have a point because maybe it wasn't right. Maybe there was something funny there. But if you saw the game, you kind of know that wasn't really the case. But you don't want anybody participating in a competitive event, especially that one that gives out money, to be able to have any legitimate beef about the level of fairness in the tournament. So cross-network play is a must moving forward. I don't know if they'll have it together for next year, but they need to have it together sooner rather than later. So that's all I got, just getting everybody caught up on where I stand from the 2K standpoint. I hope I didn't drag this on too long. As always, I appreciate you watching. God bless and peace. It's June 2016, featuring that NBA 2K16 Legends My League. It's coming. It's still done. I ain't told you it wasn't going away, but you know what? I need you to throw a combination on that light. Hit that light like that there. But if you didn't subscribe, you gotta hit that like just tap it like that. Just do your boy a favor.